To start off the combo, you need to have any two monsters on the field with at least one of them being a tuner monster. You use both of them to link summon Crystron Halqifibrax, then use its effect to special summon an Effect Veiler specifically from your deck. Then use both of them to go into Celine, where as long as there are 3 spell cards in either graveyard or face up on the field, she'll be able to gain 3 spell counters, which you then can immediately spend to special summon Effect Veiler back from the graveyard. Then with Effect Veiler and Selene, you link summon into Accesscode Talker, targeting the Link 3 Celine for a 5400 attack monster that has 2 different attributes of Link monsters in your graveyard to destroy 2 of your opponent's cards. Now, the main benefits of this engine is that all it requires you to play is at least one Effect Veiler in your main deck, and allows you to use your Crystron Halqifibrax to go into an Accesscode Talker easily without having to play all the garnets that are required to play all the other Crystron Halqifibrax combos. And Effect Veiler itself is probably one of the best garnets in the game, as it's just a very useful hand trap too. So if you don't want to play garnets required to do normal Crystron Halqifibrax plays, and you have the extra deck space for 3 cards, it might be worth running the Accesscode Celine engine. Now let's go over all the cards in the combo. First up, Crystron Halqifibrax. This is a Link 2 monster that requires any 2 monsters as its materials, with at least one of those monsters being a tuner monster. And a thing to note about Crystron Halqifibrax is that you can use 2 tuner monsters in order to bring it out. So if you run Deep Sea Diva, you can just bring out another Deep Sea Diva from your deck, and you'd be able to go into Crystron Halqifibrax without running any garnets. Or if you use Sangan, you can use it for Salamangreat Almirage to search out Crusadia Arborea, which can then special summon itself from your hand to the zone that Almirage is pointing to, in order to have another one for Crystron Halqifibrax. There's a few other ways to get into Crystron Halqifibrax with only 1 card from your starting hand, but that's probably best saved for its own video. And the main effect you worry about with Crystron Halqifibrax is its ability to special summon any level 3 or lower tuner monster from your hand or deck, which means if you have Effect Veiler in your hand, you can still use the combo. Next up, we have Effect Veiler, the only main deck monster you need to play for this combo. This is a level 1 hand trap which has the effect where you can negate the effects of one of your opponent's monsters during their turn, as long as it's in one of their main phases. It's also a level 1 tuner, so it has the option to bring out Crystron Halqifibrax, or be used for other kinds of synchro plays. In this particular engine though, you kind of want the card to be in your deck, that way you can bring it out with Crystron Halqifibrax to go into the next card. Next up, we have Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians. This is a Link 3 monster that requires any 2+ monsters plus at least 1 spellcaster, which is what Effect Veiler provides. Then on Link Summon, you get to add a number of spell counters to the card equal to the amount of spell cards in both players' graveyards and on the field. And then it has a quick effect that can be used during the main phase, where you can remove 3 spell counters from your field in order to special summon a spellcaster type monster from your hand or graveyard to a zone this card points to. So basically, you use the effect in order to get Effect Veiler back from the graveyard. Now, a thing to know about this card is that you do need at least 3 spell cards in both players' graveyards or on the field, which might be tough to do for some decks that don't play a lot of spell cards, or if your opponent isn't playing a lot of spell cards. But for the most part, since Accesscode Talker is inherently a going second card anyway, chances are there should be at least 3 spell cards between both you and your opponent's graveyards, so it's not that difficult to activate its requirement, but it is definitely something you should be aware of, especially if you're playing a deck that literally has no spell cards itself, as you'll be relying on your opponent exclusively to fulfill its conditions. Although it does count face-up cards too, so if your opponent has face-up field spell cards or pendulum zones, it'll be a lot easier to get the 3 spell counters needed. And finally, there's Accesscode Talker. This is a Link 4 monster that requires any 2+ effect monsters as materials and has the innate protection where all of its effects are spell speed 4, meaning your opponent cannot respond to its effects in order to negate them. And it has 2 other main effects, the first one being that it gains attack times 1000, equal to the Link rating of one of the monsters used for its materials. So in order to get the maximum amount of extra attack, without wasting too many resources bringing the card out, you want to use a Link 3 monster, so that it gains 3000 attack, which is what Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians provides. Then its other effect is, on a non-once per turn, you can banish a Link monster from your field or graveyard to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. This effect does not target, so it gets by targeting protection, and also remember it has the form of protection from its first effect where your opponent can't negate it, unless they negate the effect before activating its effects with something like their own Effect Veiler. They just can't activate cards in response to its effects. However, if it uses its effect to banish a Link monster, then you're not allowed to use another Link monster with the same attribute for the rest of the turn. So effectively, you can only destroy cards around 6 times per turn if you have all the natural attributes in your graveyard, since there are currently no Divine Link monsters. And because of Accesscode's ability to destroy so many cards without being negated and gaining a massive amount of attack points, it's kind of a really good card to go into that is one of the only outs to a lot of unbeatable boss monsters like Ultimate Falcon. Alright, and that's the video. This is a series of engines and or combo videos I do on my clip channel, since that channel's target audience is more towards people who actually play the game currently, rather than this channel, which is more about newer or old-time players. So, if you want to watch other similar videos, go check out that channel, or the playlist with the other engine videos.